Now, the alternative trading house, Chi-X, is it Chi-X? Chi-X promises to trade European equities up to 10 times faster and up to 10 times cheaper than on the European stock exchanges. But with the trading environment change once MiFID comes into practice, what's the future? Joining us is the group's director, Peter Randall. Peter, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Thanks for the pronunciation again. I don't like getting that wrong. Here's the big thing. What sort of liquidity are you seeing right now? What sort of volumes are you seeing going through your platform?
Well, it's a great question, Ross. Just to link back to the previous piece that I saw earlier on, you're talking about oil. Today, on Chi-X, about 16% of volume in Royal Dutch in London has been traded on Chi-X, and about 11% of Royal Dutch trading in Amsterdam has been completed on Chi-X. And what we're talking about there, effectively, is the very simple message that we've been banging away at for quite a long time now, that better prices, lower prices for trading securities lead customers to have bigger choice and are providing very effective competition for the established.
So who's using you guys?
A whole bunch of people are using us, people that want to be able, post-MiFID, certainly pre-MiFID for some of them, to be able to allow their customers to get better prices when trading securities.
All the banks, of course, they've been threatening the stock exchange by getting together and trying to put their own trading system in place, because they figure that's a good way of maybe threatening them a little bit. Why don't they just all come and work with you guys?
Well, Chi-X it's a great question, Ross. Chi-X is the first pan-European, at the moment, ATS. Post-MiFID, it'll be the MTF. What we basically take the view is that it's the ability to offer lower, cheaper prices that's the most important thing. People will come to us, people will look at our prices, and they'll say, we can get the same service from Chi-X at a lower price. That's very successful. And it's been working very well up to now. For example, last month, which was September, our total amount of transactions were up 128% over August, which in turn was a record month.
But actually all the exchanges did well overall. I mean, I reckon if we look at anybody's figures in that period, everybody's volume of business went up because of the situation we were in.
Yeah, absolutely. But effectively one of the arguments that many people have used for a very long time, Ross, and I'm sure you're very familiar with it, is that the exchanges will often say, liquidity is ours, it's sticky, it won't move. The new platforms which have been announced, there have been a number of them, the exchange's response has very often been in the past, liquidity hasn't moved, and they can trot out a variety of different platforms in Europe which have not been successful. I think Chi-X is being successful for a very simple reason, is that we're bringing new liquidity to Europe. We're not trying to compete for the liquidity that's already there. We're bringing stuff from the United States, we're bringing stuff from the Start-up market makers across Europe. We're allowing people greater choice, and it's that greater choice which is proving so successful.
What happens post-MiFID?
What happens post-MiFID is I think that competition for the exchanges is going to get even tighter. I think that although the exchange piece is very important, that the post-trade space is going to be important as well. We're going to see a lot of competition. I think there's going to be some big changes in the environment. But I think the winners will be the customers. The winners will be the customers because they will believe that lower prices for effectively a commodity type operation are a very sensible strategy.
Here's a question. You know, with all this exchange consolidation I'm supposed to be going on, I mean, look, frankly, all I care about is if I live in France, I can buy a German stock easily, or if in London, I can buy a Swiss stock easily, or whatever. That's actually all I care about, at a price that I think is fair, and that there is a semblance of liquidity with me. Do you think that today is perfectly possible? I'm not necessarily talking about Chi-X here, but I'm just thinking in the marketplace, that's where I'd like to get to. Are we there?
We're not there yet. The answer to that is effectively that the technology which allows different venues to be able to offer different prices for trading securities is also able to allow people to route to different markets, and it's the routing to different markets that trade the same item, absolutely, but can trade them at different prices, where you're actually going to get free competition.
Now, I just want to call my broker up and say, buy me Total, or go on my computer and buy Total.
And do you want the best price?
I want a price that's fair.
Under MiFID, you're going to have a broker who's got to have a best execution policy, and the best execution policy will need to be reviewed. And one of the things the best execution policy will need to look at, Ross, very categorically, very straightforwardly, is the venues that those orders are routed to. And if consistently you are being routed to the wrong place, where you're getting a less good fill, then that's not meeting the best execution obligations. The market's very, very clear. We want competition. We don't want consolidation. We believe that price is the simple way of doing that. And we believe that, the modest success that we've had thus far in gaining liquidity, bringing liquidity into the markets, is testimony to the view that pre-MiFID there's an opportunity. I think post-MiFID that opportunity is going to turn into a really powerful and exciting competitive threat to these market infrastructures, and particularly to the exchanges.
Okay.
And the benefit of those will go back to the end investor. And that's really
shall
important.
See. As long as I can buy, I'm restricted from buying stocks. Actually, I must be said. So actually, I can't do that. But on the basis,
compliance department.
On the basis of all those out there, if you're sitting in one country, just make it easy for me and cheap to go and buy stock somewhere else. That's all I really care about. Peter, we'll see what happens. Thanks very much, Steve, for joining us. Peter Randall, Director of Chi-X Europe.